They share the same breed name, but if you run them the same way, one of them could quietly cost you thousands, and most beginners never see it coming. So if they share the same roots, why do they perform so differently? You've heard it before. Angus is Angus. Both trace back to cattle developed in Scotland. Same foundation, same reputation for quality beef. So logically, they should perform the same, right? But here's where things start to separate. Because once Angus left Scotland and landed in the United States and Australia, they entered completely different production systems. And systems shape cattle. But what exactly changed once they left? In the United States, Angus entered a grain-supported beef system. Feedlots expanded. Carcass grids rewarded marbling. Premiums were paid for intramuscular fat. Selection pressure followed the money. Meanwhile, in Australia, large-scale grazing dominated. Long distances, variable rainfall, harsh summers. Grass efficiency mattered more than feedlot finish. So while the breed name stayed the same, the selection goals slowly drifted apart, not overnight, generation by generation. And that's when the physical differences began to show. If selection changed, what did it actually change? American lines often trended toward a larger frame size, more growth, more carcass weight potential, heavier, mature cows. Australian lines often stayed more moderate, balanced muscle, stronger emphasis on structural soundness, adapted coats for hotter climates. Now here's why that matters to you. A larger frame means higher maintenance energy needs. Heavier cows eat more every single day. Moderate frame, often lower feed requirements per cow. That's not good or bad, it's system dependent. But size is just the surface. What really separates them shows up on the rail. In many American programs, selection leaned heavily toward marbling, higher choice, and prime percentages. Grid premiums, branded beef programs. Example numbers. Even a small marbling increase can mean significant carcass premiums, but there's a trade-off. Higher marbling genetics can correlate with higher feed input during finishing. In Australian systems, selection often emphasized grass efficiency and adaptability. Animals needed to finish well under pasture-based systems. That can mean slightly different carcass profiles, different growth curves, different mature weights. So the question becomes, are you selling into a premium marbling grid or managing large pasture acres with seasonal rainfall swings? Because that decision changes everything. And then climate enters the picture. What happens when heat becomes the limiting factor? Australia's environment forced selection for resilience, heat tolerance, walking ability, fertility under pressure. In hotter regions, cattle that couldn't handle stress simply didn't stay in the herd. In parts of the US, especially cooler regions, heat pressure was less dominant in selection. So over time, subtle differences emerged in adaptability. If you operate in high heat zones, that matters. If you're in temperate climates with strong feedlot access, your priorities shift. This isn't about better, it's about fit. So are they really different, or just managed differently? Myth 1. They're genetically identical, not after decades of different selection goals. Myth 2. Bigger is always better, only if your feed supply supports it. Myth 3. Marbling solves everything, only if your market pays for it. The confusion comes from the shared name, but the name hides the pressure behind it. So what's the real difference? Here's the truth. They started from the same foundation, but decades of different economic pressures shaped them into different tools. American programs are often optimized for carcass grid performance. Australian programs are often optimized for large-scale pasture efficiency and resilience. Same base breed, different selection pressure, and selection pressure changes cattle more than origin ever could. So how do you choose? Ask yourself, are you targeting high marbling premiums? Do you rely heavily on feedlot finishing? Or are you maximizing grass per hectare? What's your climate risk? What's your feed cost exposure? What does your buyer actually pay for? Because choosing based on Angus reputation isn't enough. Choose based on your production system. That's where profit lives. If you want to see how selection pressure changes other breeds too, the next comparison will surprise you, because sometimes the biggest differences hide behind the same name. Subscribe and let's break it down.